Hello and welcome to Q&A Wednesday. Today I am answering Lisa's question, and she asks, what are techniques for our diaphragm and core? Lisa, this is a great question, and so today I'm going to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson, so I hope that's okay, as well as my top 3 breathing technique, stretch, and strengthening exercise to work both of these areas. Now, what is important to know is that the core actually consists of the diaphragm, or our respiratory diaphragm, or our breathing muscle. A lot of times I think people think of the core as just the abdominal muscles and kind of those six-pack abs, but they're your abdominal muscles, but they don't really make up the foundation of a person's core muscles. Our core consists of our transverse abdominis muscle, and that muscle goes from pelvic bone to pelvic bone. It's deep to our belly button and travels basically from the belly button down to the bottom of our pelvis, or our pubic bones. That transverse abdominis gives us stability from the front. So if it's strong, it will help prevent hyperextension of the back because it gives you that stability. Down our spine, on each side of our spine, our spinal segments, we have muscles called the multifidus muscles, and they're tiny little stabilizers that travel all the way down the spine. And so these muscles, because they're deep and they're at each spinal level, they give stability to that area from the back. Our respiratory diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle. It's our primary breathing muscle. It attaches on the underside of the lower part of our rib cage. So when we inhale, the diaphragm will drop down, which expands the lower rib cage and the abdomen. And as we exhale, the diaphragm goes back up, which brings our rib cage together, and our abdomen comes back down into a resting position. And then the fourth part of our core is our pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor consists of several muscles. And so basically I want you to think of it like a sling from underneath. So we have the pelvic floor, which helps keep everything up and in. We have the diaphragm from the top. And then we have our transverse abdominis from the front and our multifidus muscles in the back. So this whole area, basically, think of it like a cylinder, okay? And front to back, top to bottom, if it's strong and engaged, it will give you that core stability that so many of us need. So my top 3 picks for working your core, which includes the diaphragm and your abdominal muscles and your back and your pelvic floor, are the first one. This is actually not the top 3 that I'm giving you, but I do want to reference it because it's important, is that deep breathing. So I've done a previous video about abdominal diaphragmatic breathing, which is basically how we take deep breaths and how we use and make sure we're using our respiratory diaphragm to do that versus our neck and shoulders. So if you haven't seen that video, please go back and look at it. It is the foundation for pretty much everything. So if you've seen that, great. We're coming back to this. My first breath that I want you to learn in this video is called the TATD breath. And this breath basically helps to engage your lower abdominal muscle to give yourself stability as you still take those deep breaths. So now we've got some muscular engagement. But when we engage the lower abdominal muscle, the pelvic floor will naturally engage slightly. And then it also will engage the multifidus muscles and the diaphragm. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come down to the mat. It is usually easiest to learn this breathing technique lying down. However, you can do it seated, standing, with exercise, but usually to really get a feel for it, you want to lie down. So finding a comfortable position, you're going to take the pads of your fingertips and you're going to place them on the lower abdominal muscle, okay? You can find the outsides of your pelvis and then just kind of come in. And what I want you to do is gently pull that lower abdominal muscle up and in. So you should feel it gently engage underneath your fingertips, but not push up towards the ceiling, okay? So you want to think about pulling your belly button up towards your heart. And then as you gently hold that muscle, so don't lock it down as hard as you can, but just gently engage it, feel it under your fingertips. And then as you hold that lower abdominal muscle engagement, you're gonna work on breathing, so taking a nice deep breath and still letting that lower rib cage and upper abdomen expand. And exhale. So the goal is that you can hold the lower abdominal muscle as you're still breathing here without using your neck and shoulders. Now, of course, this breath is going to be not as deep as if you were just going to take a really nice deep breath without any core engagement, because you're engaging your lower abs. So it's going to restrict the breath just a little bit. So again, you pull up and in, and then as you inhale, you let that lower rib cage and upper abdomen expand. And exhale. Okay, so that's the first breathing technique. Moving into a stretch, you are going to use this breathing technique with the stretch. So what you'll want to do is gently pull up and in with that lower abdominal muscle. Again, it will give you stability. You're going to place your right hand out to the side. You're going to lift your left hand up overhead. Keep your shoulder away from your ear. And then as you inhale, I want you to think about letting the left side of your rib cage and your abdomen expand. So you're going to inhale and exhale. Good. Inhale again. And you go at your own pace and exhale. Bring the arm down, and then left hand goes beside you like a kickstand, right arm lifts up overhead. If this doesn't feel good on your neck and shoulders, you can just leave your arm at your side. But what you want to do is think about inhaling and expanding now the right side of the rib cage and the abdomen. Just like we're stretching from the inside out. But what this does is it uses your diaphragm, it stretches your rib cage, and if you have this lower abdominal muscle still engaged, it's working your core. And exhale. If it's too hard to keep that lower abdominal muscle engaged while you're doing the side stretch, that's okay. You can release that and just work on the breath. But I really like this one to open up and stretch this rib cage and the side of your body by using your diaphragm to do it. The third exercise is called bird dog. So for this, you're going to come onto your hands and knees. In this position, you want your wrists comfortably underneath your shoulders and your knees comfortably underneath your hips. And you are going to gently pull up and in with your lower abdominal muscles. So maybe by now you can sense a theme. We're gonna pull up and in with that lower abdominal muscle, and you still wanna make sure that you're breathing here. Engaging the lower abs are again going to give your back stability. From this position, what you are going to do is you are going to reach your right leg behind you and then lower down. And then your left leg behind you and lower down. And as you do these, you want to make sure that your lower abs stay engaged, because if they don't, when you lift your leg, you're going to hyperextend at your back, and that is going to potentially cause an injury. So when you pull up and in, you may not be able to lengthen your leg as far, but that's okay. The core is engaged. Your back muscles, those multifidus muscles, are working. You're still breathing. And so now it's becoming a more dynamic exercise. So you can do leg lifts, and you might find one side's different than the other. This morning my left side's a little tighter than my right. And you do about 10 of those. And then you're gonna alternate arm lifts. So again, keeping the lower abs engaged. Basically think about a flat back or a tabletop position. Don't tuck and round, just stay neutral. And then alternate lifting your left arm and your right arm overhead. Again, it's still gonna work that core that we talked about. And you do about 10 of those. If those are easy, you could do a couple sets of 10. And that's a great way to strengthen a lot of other muscles in addition to just your core. But the core is the foundation of so many exercises. So once you've worked on that TATD breath and you can really engage those muscles, you can take that into any exercise, yoga posture, when you have to lift things for exercise, or sorry, not for exercise, but if you have to lift boxes or you have to push, pull, knowing how to engage your core will stabilize your spine. It will help you strengthen, and it will also help you prevent getting an injury. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.